This is Turn Turtle again. Here's the holes that I drilled through the body mounts. And here they're 3/8. I have 3/8 carriage bolts that'll go in those holes. I will drill those out to 1/2 inch and fill them with epoxy. That's I drilled them so when I'm doing all the epoxy work on the bottom, I don't have to flip it over again. And then this complete lip all the way around the trailer body needs to be shaved down and smoothed and rounded over, because the fiberglass is going to come over the top and down 2 inches or so. Remember in the past video, I put fiberglass on the edge here. I got to round this edge more, round this edge more, round this edge more, and then I'll tie all the new, I'm going to have to fillet this in. I already rounded it, but it needs more filleting. I'll probably sand through that where it had a little bit of an air bubble. I'll fillet this in and lay new fiberglass over this. One sheet comes this way, one sheet goes that way. And then I'll run one from here down and around. A little deviation from the book. This, of course, needs to be rounded off here. All this lip along here needs to be taken off. I think I need some heavier grit. Go with 80. As you can see, I'm just getting the flat, evening it out at the top, flattening it. Then I'll start going around rounding the edges. I might use the sanding block. I'm going to see how this works, but I'll try the sanding block too. Got some new 120 grit in my hand sander. Let's see how this goes. Pretty quick. Pretty well rounded off. I got to even it out a little bit. Smooth this over a little more. That's it. Pretty much gonna have to do that all the way around. I spent a couple hours sanding the edges of the trailer. Nice and rounded over. And we can see where we need to fill in some little divots and things. And the little grooves there. And of course the butt board needs to be filleted in. There were a lot of air bubbles in the corners of the cargo compartment because I did not fillet those in. The fiberglass is not able to make that sharp turn, so it formed air bubbles. There were air bubbles up in here too because I didn't fillet that, so I had to sand through all those air bubbles. And this is kind of like, I haven't cleaned the sanding off this, but it was all there. And then on the top, because I did not round those off, there were a huge amount of air bubbles wherever there was a sharp edge, and I tried to make the fiberglass go around the sharp edge. So moral of the story is always round that off. I think the book recommends a minimum of a 3/8 radius. About what I've got here on the edge of the trailer, and up on top there I probably got a 1/2 inch radius. I'll clear all this off with the leaf blower, the vacuum, all these little cracks. The next step I'm going to do is drill these. I drilled to 3/8, but I'm going to drill them to 1/2 inch and then fill them. I'm going to put some tape on the bottom, and when I go and fillet everything, I'm going to fill that in with epoxy before I start making the filleting compound. So I'll drill these out next, and then I'll make epoxy. And here's the biggest gap in the back here, pretty deep, goes in probably 3/8 of an inch, one of the screw holes. But remember, the whole back of the trailer, 1 or 2 inches, is going to get painted, and we're coming up with a surprise on what color we're going to paint that. So got some paint ordered, and the bottom, I'm probably just going to paint the bottom white with house latex, because that really worked good on my other trailer. I've had 0 issues with the bottom of the trailer. That thing's been beat off-road and muddy and everything, and I have no issues with the paint peeling or anything. There's really nothing hits it. Some mud splash, and that's about it. The fiberglass is going to make sure everything's completely waterproof. I like using a white paint because when you're crawling under the trailer fixing wiring, you've got much better visibility than it's something that's black. So anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to drill the half-inch holes, with holes to half-inch. I have a step drill bit. I'm going to go inside and give it a little chamfer on each of the holes. Okay, I've got my masking tape. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to seal up the hole, the bottom of the hole, so I can just fill in these drilled holes with epoxy. Well, I'm going to mix the epoxy to fill in those holes, and then mix up a batch of filleting material to fill in all these gaps. Tomorrow morning I hope to sand it and then fiberglass it. So, but filling in and getting these gaps ready to go and filling in the box in the bottom is an important step. One thing I forgot to mention before is how much epoxy we've used. Basically we're at the halfway point right now. I've used 2 bottles of the resin, low viscosity resin, and 1 bottle of the slow, and we've gotten into the blue, well, I read blue so we remember, low viscosity, and we call it the red. What's really nice about the mass system is 1 pump of each. It's a 2-to-1 mix, so this gives you 2 times the volume of one pump of the blue, gives you this twice the volume of 1 pump of the red. So it all works out good. Some tips we got from some of the other videos we watched is, use the fast food cups. They're the right kind of plastic, and I'm going to use that because it's going to be a small cup's going to make it easier to pour into those holes I drilled. And other kinds of plastic you can use are like cottage cheese tubs, the same stuff as you have to pay for mixing cups. But as long as you use the pumps, you're good. Yeah, even the little salsa tins, those are the right kind of plastic for mixing epoxy. So, anywho, I'll get to it. Yeah, mix the epoxy for 3 minutes, and it's going to take a while to set up because it's fairly cold. I'm just going to fill these in. Okay, I made a command decision. I'm going to use the cellofill. It kind of comes out white. Since I'm painting the bottom, I don't care what it looks like. I really don't care for the color that comes out with the cellofill. It's kind of a creamy, pasty color. But since the bottom's getting painted, it doesn't matter. Remember, this is all going to get covered with fiberglass. Okay, I got the filleting done. Right here, it's going to need sanding. Got the cracks filled in. Like I said, I use the cellofill because I want to use that up. It's plugged. I left a little bit extra on the outside. It's clearer inside, and I had to top it off because it's sunk in. Got the filleting done there. It's going to need to be sanded. Spread out some more over the rough weave of the fiberglass. Filleting's done. Left it standing proud. I'll sand it flat and then re-drill it tomorrow. So that's enough for tonight. Remember, the cellofill is ugly, but it's going to be covered with paint, so it doesn't matter. I have to use it up because I'm using a lot of the wood fiber. I want to save that in case I need it. So there you go. Good night. We've let the epoxy harden. I've took my 4-inch grinder with the sanding wheel and knocked down the tops of it. I got a little oopsie there, but it's not going to be a problem. It's getting fiberglassed over. That one's ground them down roughly. I'm going to use the sander to sand it off. I used the mill bastard file to knock down the high points of where I've used the filleting compound to fill in the cracks on the edges. We got it all ready to go, and I'm just going to hit them with the sander. the sandpaper gets clogged up because the epoxy is only hardened for about 8 hours, so I might have to let it sit longer, but it's sanding. It's just going to take more sandpaper, that's all. Okay, since the epoxy is not quite hard, it's only maybe got 10 hours of hardening since last night, and it's cold, so it's never going to really harden completely for a couple of days in this temperature. I've determined that using a little scraper set really works to shave down the epoxy glops. So you can see right here, if I go across here, it just shaves it down really neatly. Takes a little wood with it if the wood's high, but it's really working good. It's got to be smooth enough for the next layer of epoxy and fiberglass. So like right here, it's a really heavy excess epoxy. One lip of the scraper has a burr on it, and you have the kit comes with a tool to reinstall that burr after it wears away, but it doesn't seem to be wearing away too quick. These are just a cheap Amazon set of scrapers, cabinet scrapers. To reshape the edge, you go across it with a file, fine-tooth file, and then you use a burnishing tool to raise the burr again. But I haven't had to do that yet. So this has been holding up, and this epoxy is not super hard, but it's pretty hard. It's getting smooth. Shave all that epoxy off. This is good because I'll be able to do the epoxy today. Don't have to wait a couple days for epoxy about 100% hardened and be more sandable. I'm getting ready to fiberglass the bottom. Got all the corners rounded off. It's all smooth. Can't do it in a normal manner because the box is in the way, obviously. So I'm going to cut it off here, let it break down, and it'll come up a little bit. And we'll see how this all plays out. But I want to have it one continuous piece around the front, so around the sides, I should say. So we'll see how that goes. Got the fiberglass laid out. Need some more smoothing. This is the one side's worth. It's going to wrap around here. This will be a double thick. Through this section is going to be double thick. And I've cut this a little short, but I'm going to have another piece come over and double thick. Actually, up here it'll be 3 layers thick. Down here it'll be 3 layers thick. And that'll seal off the ends. This already has fiberglass on it. This already has fiberglass on it. The bottom actually has fiberglass on it. These end panels do not. So I'm gonna go lay the other roll over the other side, and I'll be ready for coating with epoxy. Well, I do have it upside down. I'm going to sand the surround areas in here, and then it needs a layer of fiberglass tape around the outer edges. I'll use pieces of the scrap that I have, and then where it's really rough up in here, where drips and so on have happened, and bulges in the tape, that's all going to get sanded before I flip it over too. So lots of work, never ending work, and it's kind of fun. I don't mind it, it's fun. Here we are, we're mixing up the epoxy.
Can you hold this?
Yes.
Thank you.
We're mixing the epoxy in order to saturate the fiberglass I laid on the floor this morning. Teresa's being very scientific.
It's stuck. Oh, there you go. Ooh. Okay, wait, just a smidge more. He's telling, I know.
I know.
Okay, there you go.
Great minds think alike.
Great minds think alike. I'll probably cut this, probably edit this part.
Okay, restart it.
No, just keep going. I'm gonna edit us for a minute. Okay. Oh, okay. 3 minutes. Hey Siri. Set a timer for 3 minutes.
3 minutes starting now.
Mixing and mixing. We got it all coated. Just keeping it worked, making sure there's no little air bubbles. Teresa and I teamed worked it all. And it took like 4 cups or 3?
4.
4 cups. We're using the Home Depot mixing cups and 4 of them at level 4. So there's a lot of epoxy, but it's done.
And we got the inside.
Yeah, and I got that epoxied in, the fiberglass epoxied in around that opening. And now it's the cleanup. We tried to get these strings out of here because they're a pain in the ass to sew or to sand out. I'm going to start sanding on the bottom. The fiberglass, of course, has been a few days to set up. It's very well coated, very few minor imperfections, nothing really big to deal, or a lot of sanding to do on the back panel. Sanding and filling. The bottom lip stayed in shape for the most part. Happy about that. I'm gonna have to trim off the excess fiberglass, mainly because it's sharp. I'll sand that off, and that's it. And then the fiberglassing on the inside came out okay. Might do a little touch up in the far starboard side rear corner. Need a little more overlap maybe. The fiberglass that I used was scrap and it was kind of coming apart, so I'm gonna grind that smooth and maybe lay one more layer on there. Yeah, that's the overview of the work we did last week. So, okay, here we are, 3-4 hours after starting sanding it. I got the whole thing sanded. I took a special care on the sides here where it's going to be seen. It's going to need another coat of epoxy on the sides and the back. The bottom, I'm probably just going to primer it and then paint it. I might go with a gray because I found I have most of a quart of oil-based gray, kind of like a battleship gray. Yeah, this stuff. Anchor gray. Yeah, so it's a ship gray. Rust preventative, alkyd semi-gloss enamel. Semi-gloss is perfect for the bottom. If I don't have some white, I'll probably go with that. But I do have some oil-based primer. And I'll probably paint the bottom with that. I'm going to use this cover stain primer. It's oil-based. Bonding coat, interior, exterior. I used it on my other teardrop. It's worked good. Even says teardrop paint on there. So that's what I'll do. Maybe that's what I'll do next is just mask off this edge here. Put a coat of primer on the flat part of the bottom and then let that dry the recommended time and then paint that. I still have to come in here and sand the interior of that hatch opening. And like I said earlier in another video, I'm gonna, or another time, if it's ugly, I'll just paint it black, flat black or something in there. And there's a trim ring that's gonna cover that anyway. And there's gonna be a headliner, so it's all gonna be hidden up in there. Oh, and then I did start sanding the reinforcement fiberglass strip I put up there where the bulkhead meets the galley floor. So I have to sand that. And on the other side, I haven't sanded it, so that reminded me I need to do it. Okay, talk to you later. Okay, I've got the Side of the trailer taped off. I masked it with the fine line green tape right to the seam line on the body. This area below here, 2 inches down or so, I'm going to paint with a different color. This is masking off just the bottom, and I want to see how well that seals off. So I am going to primer this down, but with automotive primer for the color I'm going to use. It's going to be a surprise, and that's that. So next thing I do before I paint the bottom, we won't be able to see these drilled holes anymore. I'm going to kind of pre-drill them in a little bit with probably a 3/16 bit dead center. A smaller bit will make it easier to find the center. I'll probably drill them in about 1/4 or 3/8 of an inch or so, and that will give me the marks I need once the paint's dry to go ahead and drill it through. That way I won't have to mask off on the inside and have paint dripping in the hole and all that, changing the size of the hole. So that's got all 8 of these holes that I got to drill, so that'll be the next step. Actually, the green and blue doesn't look all that bad, kind of funky. Yeah, there we are. Okay, about ready to roll on the primer. Okay, go to the other side, get more paint. Okay, that's it for now. Well, it's coated. Teresa made a good decision and picked aluminum silver because it will match the trailer frame. Especially on the box, when you see it from the side, it might disappear into the aluminum of the frame, which is great. We picked Rust-Oleum aluminum silver. It's like 35 bucks for the can, quart can. Went on with 1 coat, really covered good. Went on heavy. It takes up to 24 hours to dry. It says on the can though, so I'm gonna let it do that before we flip it back over. And I'm going with the tape and pulling it off. Here's where I pre-drilled for the holes, so I would see where they're at. I only went down about 1/4 inch with the 3/16. Really easy to see, but they're still closed, so it's not going to drip any paint into the interior of the trailer. I'm taking off my masking tape, and the fine line frog tape seems to be doing pretty good of a line. So this here down to here is probably going to get primered when we're ready with the sides, and that's going to be primered, and it's going to be painted with a special paint that we have picked out. Taking the tape off while the paint's still wet, so it doesn't lift it later. It seems to be doing a pretty good job of coming off without any problems. There's that.